I don't know what I want to call this segment. I like coming up with the ideas and talking about it and stuff like that, and then coming up with this segment name, if you will. You know, a lot of times you come up with something, an idea, and you come up with a segment idea and you realize that name's not good. But you already started every episode saying, hey, welcome to so-and-so. So today, what I'm gonna name it? I don't know what I'm gonna name it. What I do know is I'm gonna sit here, smoke, talk about books with you guys in this type of segment. So if you're not okay with somebody smoking, get out of here. If you're under 18, get out of here. And if you just really anti-book, anti-literacy, anti-reading, you probably should also get out of here. So I have some ideas for the name of this segment. Weed and Read, The Nerdy Stoner, something like that. I had a couple other ones before I took that last hit, I promise. But in this segment, in this playlist, in this series, what I want to do is break down some of the books that have really changed my life. I started reading probably when I was about 19 years old. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I've just been a lifelong reader, but like 18, 19 years old, I started picking up some books. I started really separating the difference between learning and education. There is a huge difference, because in formal education, some people learn best that way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't like learning. So in my upbringing, I wasn't a huge fan of formal education, but I did realize I was a huge fan of learning. And so I had to figure out how to learn best my way. And the best way I can learn, really, even YouTube videos to me can get like too much sometimes. I like reading. You know, I feel like the information sticks a lot. Like, for example, the book I'm going to read today, The Art and Science of Respect. Fuck, I always fuck that up. The Art and Science of Respect. Yes, I actually did not fuck it up. And that is by Jay Prince. He is a Houston native. And this is a book I read here. I have an Instagram reading list 114 weeks ago. So actually a couple years ago now. And I can still vividly kind of tell you about his life, about his story, and at least the pieces that stuck with me. Of course I can't word for word verbatim the book or something crazy, but it will be the first book that I'll be talking about today. So one of these days I will have a name for this playlist, but today let's go with Weed and Read. You know, so on today's episode of Weed and Read, Jay Prince's book Art and Science of why can't I say the name of the book? It's one of my favorite books and I can't say the name. The Art and Science of Respect. Like I said, Jay Prince, a guy from really one of the rougher parts, if not the roughest part of North Houston, and he is today a multimillionaire. He is the father of really Southern underground rap. He is a philanthropist. He is a multiple business owner. He is all these things, and he is probably one of the scarier figures that moves legally. For real, one of the most intimidating people out there that still moves in a legal manner. And so really I'll get into kind of why I chose this book and why I chose this book first and what kept me reading it. Because I don't know if some of you guys, sometimes I'll read a book, I'll get halfway through it and I'll be like, I had enough of this. And I read another book, 5 Hour Work Week, which I'll get into one day, that really said you shouldn't read all of books. You should read what you need out of the books. That's why there's like table of contents. That's why it tells you what's in the book. If you have sections of books that you've already mastered or that you don't feel like are important, it's okay to skip it. You don't have to feel bound by having to read the book cover to cover. You know, sometimes it's okay to put it down halfway through, but that's for another episode. But when it comes to this book, I read it cover to cover and very quickly. No, actually I listened to the audiobook. I'm not gonna lie to you, I listened to the audiobook of this one, but I did it very quickly. It is a self-narrated audiobook, and he really tells the story of coming from struggle, you know? Coming from the struggle of like the bandos and the projects of Houston, losing family members going through all this thing, having issues with his mother, not identifying and not really knowing his father growing up, or really knowing him, but in a weird way. I won't ruin the book for anybody who would want to read it, but what I will say is it shows a story of somebody who isn't too prideful. I guess I would say is my biggest takeaway from the book. Because although he is confident, although he moves as a confident businessman, you can tell by a lot of the choices and decisions he makes in his life. For example, he was making a lot of money in like the crack game, and he started growing in that, but then he realized what it was and what the game wasn't, and one, the impact it was having on the community around him, and two, how imminent it is that you'll be locked up or killed. So he pretty much gave up so much of his stuff, like all of his stuff. Like he was the guy with the money, and he had to humble himself to realize, all right, this isn't my time for money. This is the time for growth. This is the time for pushing forward. This is the time for doing what you can do, or what he could do, to advance himself in his life. And that was a time when he also had a child, and those decisions were made as long-term plays, if you will. A lot of times, especially our generation, we really do look at things so short-sighted. We look at things super short-sighted. We look at immediate gratification, even with YouTube channels, even with TikTok, even with Instagram, like the way you post. How do I put it? You need a post for longevity. You know, you need a post for something that you can consistently do, consistently talk about. It's a skill you consistently have. And for him, like that immediate money of the drug game wasn't worth forfeiting what he has to this day, and he had that foresight back in his 20s, you know, and that was that's what I would say is my biggest takeaway of the book, is that sometimes you really have to push away immediate gratification for building and for growth. And that's what I feel like our society a lot of times tries to simulate with school, but it's not school for everyone, you know? Or school isn't the right way to cultivate everyone's skill set, everyone's skills, or everybody's time is really just different. Everybody's moving at that 18, you're ready for this, and 21, you're ready for this, and at 22, you should have graduated from here. And like that's not a streamlined, simple answer for a lot of people, but it's the only answer that people are given. This wedding cake is strong as fuck. I hope this video has been making sense. I really suggest this book. I really suggest this book to give people perspective about what it's really like coming from some of these situations. Not even like what it says on TV, but he really gives his rise, fall, and then rising back up. And people don't know he was like Floyd Mayweather's first manager, you know? He was brokering deals between Tupac and Biggie, like trying to save that. He was attacked by feds, like he's had hitmen after him. Like these stories in this book really show you, and me personally as a black person, what that struggle was like. Because even from a person who, I didn't grow up in crack homes and projects and things like that, you know, so giving me perspective even on what people in my race go through day to day, you know. And as you grow, if you have a voice, if you have power, what type of powers that be can be against you, especially if you are loud in the way that you move, or really once you break a certain income gap, the type of attacks that can come after you for real. But also being able to move confidently and assuredly and and knowing that if you're doing things the right way for real, you can make it. Shit. Jay Prince did it. And I watched some of his interview the other day on Drink Champs, and really how I watched some of his interview on Drink Champs the other day, and I saw really the humility comes out there for when he's speaking. This is a guy, you know, who online, I looked it up, I think they said he's worth like 50 million, you know, and I know about just how income works, and once you reach a certain threshold of millions and your portfolio is so diversified, a lot of times it's difficult to track how much money you really have. But even if that's how much he has, like for him to not be as loud, not be as boisterous, but still have a lot of the impact that he's had, in my opinion, even in the city that I live in, it's cool to see, and it's something to like aspire to. And I'm not the same type of person he is. He is somebody who would never be smoking like small amounts of drinking, you know what I mean? Needs that discipline more in his life. I'm definitely more of an artist, but still, when I read these books and I learn from these people, I like to pull different things, you know, see what they did well, see their mistakes. That's what I like most about reading, and that's why a lot of these books that I'll talk about probably will be biographies, and then like Malcolm Gladwell books. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those, but we'll get on those also. I appreciate you guys joining me for the first episode. Weed and Read. Oh, Weed and Read. What's another name? I don't know. Please comment below names that this playlist should be. Shit like The Reading Stoner. The Reading Stoner, YouTube will for sure flag somehow, like We didn't read too probably, but fuck it. I'm telling you though, if you guys think you don't like reading, try reading something you like. If you like watching anime, try reading manga. Try reading articles. Try reading biographies. If you're interested in somebody, see if a biography is written about them. See if there's an autobiography, memoirs, things like that. You can really get into the mind of some of these people. And if you admire them, unfortunately, some of these books might ruin a little bit of your admiration once you see how they actually move, but it'll also show how human they are and kind of show you that like life gets hard sometimes, you know. It'll give you some perspective, because a lot of the stories he went through in that, like, it gives me perspective to think, man, like my trials and tribulations in the past don't really amount to that, you know. Like, I'll be good. If he got through some of the stuff he got through, if I've read Steve Jobs' book, if he got through some of the stuff he got through, if I read Gucci Mane's book, Rick Ross's book, like, if these guys got through the things they got through, we can too. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I caught it. I still got it. They say weed messed up your reflexes. I actually really disagree. I've been in some positions in my life which I swear to God, like, if I hadn't been high, I wouldn't have been aware enough to react so fast. Appreciate it.